Welcome everyone to Neverwinter on PC. My name is Rainer, and today I will compare the new weapon and armor enchantments versus the ones that we had before. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you would like to see more informational videos about Neverwinter, hit the subscribe button. So, as I already showed you in my overview video for mod 22, we got a lot less choice now for weapon and armor enchantments. Or even more so, we only can slot one of them in this combat slot, so we have to pick between one of the two. In today's video, I'm going to look at the old and the new ones, because it's very obvious that some of the old ones were cherry-picked and replaced by new enchantments, and I will compare them to see how they stack up against each other. Were they improved? Were they weakened? Were they nerfed, buffed? However you want to call it. So, I have them here. I'm going to look at the rank 14s, of course, that we had before. You can trade them in one-on-one to a new rank 4 enchantment for 4,000 item level. And if you upgrade them, you can upgrade them to 5,000. And if you look at the icons, you can clearly see that these are all brothers, or how you want to say it, replacements of the old system. So in the past we had a lot more enchantments. We have them all here, but we have these three weapon enchantments that have been replaced by a new one, and 3 armor enchantments. So let's first look at the weapon enchantments. We have the Plague Fire enchantment, we have the Bilethorn, and we have the Prominence enchantment. That was the one I didn't catch the name in my previous video, but it is Prominence. For the Plague Fire, of course, rank 14 enchantments always added 8% bonus damage, so that was always in here for all 3. And then the Plague Fire did 8 magnitude burn, magnitude 8 damage burn, and reducing critical avoidance by minus 4.5% total. And then also an explosion for 120 damage as poison damage to nearby foes. So it was also a little bit of AoE here. If we go to the direct replacement, we can see that, first of all, the 8% damage increase is still here. That's true for all of these, so that is not changed. Then the fire damage that you get every 3 seconds has been reduced from 8 to 6 damage. And it says here, you don't have to stack it up 3 times, but if the target is already affected by Curse Burn, you have a 10% chance to make them explode. So here, 1 in 3 will get an explosion with a cooldown of 20 seconds, and here it's basically 1 in 10. But also, if you look at the explosion here does 120 damage as poison, magnitude 120 damage as poison damage, and this one only magnitude 12. It can happen more often, so twice as much, but still this is quite a bit weaker than it was. So this one is much stronger than this. If we go to the next level, these mythic combat enchantments have an increase of 10% in damage, so that is higher than we had before, and we went from 8 to 10%. The burn is 7.5 magnitude, still down from 8, but it's not that much down anymore. And we still have this 10% chance, dealing 15 magnitude damage, still every 10 seconds. So it's still the side effect is still a lot weaker than it was before. Now, I'm not really sure how much this side effect contributed in the past, so I'm just gonna read this as it is. Also, I'm not gonna take into account bugs. I know this Poison Thorn hits for 0 many times. I'm guessing this is, well, I'm pretty sure that's a bug, so don't take that into account. I'm just gonna read the text and interpret it as it's written. So yeah, I think the Plague Fire, even when upgraded, so this is definitely down. If you upgrade it, your damage, your base damage is increased by 2% additively. But the side effect is definitely weaker than it was before. A similar story we see at the Bilethorn enchantment. The Bilethorn gives after 4 seconds a 60 magnitude poison damage to the target. And for the new one, we get 20 magnitude after 4 seconds. So that's a 3 times nerf of this enchantment. It's gotten 3 times weaker than it was before. So maybe for out of the 3, it's not the strongest anymore. If we go then to Mythic, we go to 25 magnitude. So it's still way below the 60 magnitude damage that you had as procs on this Balthorn. So this one really nerfed a lot in that aspect. Then it also reduces target movement speed by 7%, stacks up to 3 times and for 4 seconds. And this one is 8%, so the movement speed debuff has been made stronger. And here it's even stronger, up to 10%. So in total, 30% movement reduction to your targets. Might be interesting in PvP, but I am not super sure about that. So then we go to the last weapon enchantment, which is the Prominence. Prominence gives a shield equal to 20 magnitude damage. It stacks up to 20 times, so you get a total shield of 400 magnitude, lasts 10 seconds. And if you have a full shield, then you get some extra radiant damage to enemies, so it also deals some extra damage. If we go to the new one, you see that the extra damage is disappeared. And now, instead of a magnitude 20 shield, you only get a magnitude 8 shield. Still stacks up to 20 times and lasts for 10 seconds. So we got a much smaller shield. I think if you look at the effective shield that you get at the moment, it's really bugged, so it's really, really low. And I think that's still going to be fixed. But even if it's fixed, this is nerfed quite a bit, the shield that we got on here. If we go down to the Mythic, you see that this is magnitude 10 for the shield, still stacks 20 times and lasts for 10 seconds. So even from the old Prominence to Mythic here, the shield aspect has been halved that we had on here. So you're going to be a lot less tanky with this one. And then also the extra damage that you had on here is removed completely. So basically, if we look at the weapon enchantments, all of them have been nerfed quite significantly. Only the flat bonus damage is increased at Mythic. Then we go to the armor enchantments, and the story here is a little bit different. So Soulforged, we all know when you die the first time, you come back to life and you're healed. First a flat amount, and then over time you get an extra amount of healing, and you get some control immunity, and then you also do a little bit of damage in the Soulforged. If we go to the direct replacement, with this Soul Shield enchantment, you resurrect and you immediately get 80% of your max hit points. Also to note, there is no control immunity on Soul Shield, so I think it was a little bit abused in PvP as well here. If you went down and you came back up, you were immune to control. So that is gone on the new one. And also the trigger time, the cooldown on this enchantment was 75 seconds. It's now 60 seconds. So this is happening a lot more often. The biggest change, however, for these two enchantments is this here doesn't have any damage reduction at all. This is why Soul Forged was so bad in the past, because in normal gameplay, if you don't die, this doesn't do anything. The new Soul Shield, however, base increases damage reduction by 8%, so that's the big one here. So it gives extra base damage reduction and also resurrects you for a lot more hit points, because 40,000 plus another 40,000 total is hardly anything. This is 80%, so this will heal you for almost 800,000 hit points, for tank even more. So that's the direct replacement. If you go to the Mythic, damage reduction is even more increased. That's, by the way, still again true for all of these. The legendaries all have 8% damage reduction. Mythics have 10. And here you actually heal completely when you die. Cooldown still 60 seconds. So for the Soulforged, it definitely got a pretty big buff. Yes, the damage is gone, but I don't think anyone took Soulforged for the damage. this is a much bigger heal and it makes you more tanky all at the same time. Then we go to negation. The old one gives you damage resistance stacks. You get 4% increase to damage resistance stacks up to 10 times. So that's a maximum of 40% damage reduction. And every time you get a stack, it refreshes its duration. When you get to the max amount of stacks, you also are healed for 8% of your maximum hit points. If we go to the direct replacement, you don't get the damage reduction per stack. So here we got a total of maximum 40% damage reduction over time. Here we get a base damage reduction of 8%, and instead of getting damage reduction per stack, we get instead 2% defense, awareness, and deflect per stack. It only stacks 5 times, so a maximum of 10% defense, awareness, and deflect. And yeah, it still refreshes the duration when you get an extra stack. When you reach 5 stacks, you also healed, but now for only 6% of your maximum hit points. So in here it was 8%. If we go up to Mythic, you get 2.5% defense, awareness, and deflect. And you're healed for 7.5% of your maximum health. So if we look at negation, I would say, if I read this as it should be, negation has been tuned down slightly. Of course, we have the base damage reduction that you get automatically, but negation is for situations where you hit very often, so you will often have more than those 8%, and it heals you less if you get to 10 stacks. So the new negation will make you a bit less tanky than the old one. Then the last enchantment out of the list, we have Frost Burn. When receiving damage, you have a 10% chance to apply 30% slow and minus 8% critical strike to the target. It's not stacking, and it can only last once every 5 seconds, and it takes 5 seconds, so this is a constant slow and a critical strike reduction for your enemy. Not that fantastic, I think. Yeah, it's just slowing people constantly and reducing the crits. Now, again, we get our damage reduction base on this Flash Freeze enchantment, and we also apply a slow to our enemy. It is less potent to slow, but much more important, we reduce outgoing damage of the target. And as I read it here, this outgoing damage reduction is for everyone. So if you get hit, everyone will get less damage. Also, it lasts 5 seconds and it stacks up to 3 times. So you can get a total damage reduction when you get hit a lot of 12% of your enemy. And I guess the slow also stacks, but I'm not sure. If it stacks, you can get actually more out of it. Yeah, it didn't stack before. If we can then go up to Mythic, of course, the 10% damage reduction, which makes it already very good. Here's 20% slow and 5% reduced outgoing damage to the target. Also stacks 3 times, so maximum of 60% slow and 15% reduced outgoing damage of the enemy, which is much better than 8% critical strike reduction. So Frostburn replacements have been buffed. So if we go over all of them, then the Plague Fire nerfed, Bilethorn is nerfed, Prominence is nerfed, so all of the weapon enchantments have been nerfed. Soulforged has received a buff, Negation has received a nerf, and Frostburn has received a buff. So yeah, that's basically my conclusion about if I read all through these tooltips. So that was it for this video. If you have any remarks on this video or any suggestions on what to do next, feel free to leave a comment below and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.